Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So today I'm giving you some tips on how to prepare your horse's stable for winter. Let's get to it. When preparing your horse's stable for winter, there's 3 things that you need to keep in mind: the stable itself, food and water. So first of all, we're going to start off with the stable. First of all, you need to make sure that your stable is the correct measurements. So ideally it should be 10 by 10 feet, 10 by 12 feet, or 12 by 12 feet. The second thing you need to consider for your stable is the type of bedding. There's lots and lots of choice out there, but Arrow is on shavings mixed with wood pellets. But you can also get things like rubber mats, paper, wood shavings, wood pellets, straw. But whatever you choose, make sure that it's right for you and your horse, and especially if your horse has asthma, make sure that it's dust free. Next thing you need to think about is ventilation. Now, as you can see, Arrow has a window in the back, which can be closed over, and the barn that he's in is very light and provides lots of airflow. You need to check that your stable has lots of airflow so that your horse doesn't get a cough or another illness. Now on to mucking out the stable. So for mucking out the stable, depending on the different type of bedding that you might have, you're going to need a fork and a brush. So you want to make sure that you get all the wet and mucky shavings out as well as the poo itself. So let's start. So for those of you who don't know how to muck out, you want to grab your fork and your wheelbarrow, pick up a piece of poo, shake it around until all the clean shavings fall out, and then put it in your wheelbarrow. You want to repeat this to every single piece of poo, making sure that you shake well so that all the clean shavings fall out and just the poo stays on the fork. The same applies to the wet shavings, as it tends to clump together as if it's like a piece of poo. So you want to scoop it up, shake it around, not too hard though that it all doesn't come apart, and put it in your wheelbarrow. Then lastly, you want to grab your brush and sweep up the shavings into about half the stable or 3/4 of the stable. And now here's my do's and don'ts for bedding for your horse. So you do want to try and muck out your horse daily, if not twice a day. You don't want to cover up the poo and just put new shavings on top, as this will rot their feet. You do want to turn up the shavings to check underneath for any poo. You don't want to leave any wet shavings in the bed. So this is what Arrow's stable looks like after I've thoroughly cleaned it. I've checked underneath all the bedding to make sure that there's no poo left. Also, one important thing I forgot to add, bank up the bedding on the sides of the walls, as this provides comfort and so they don't get cast. So cast is when they lie down and they can't get up in their bed. Now that we've got their shelter done, time to move on to the food. So when your horse is in a stable, he's going to need some forage. So whether that's hay, chaff, or haylage. Or if you can, in an ideal world, you can turn them out each day, but I know that's not an option for many people. So the first way you can give your horse his forage is on the ground. So you want to have your hay in a pile away from the bedding. It doesn't have to be very far away, but just in a corner or something. Hay on the ground or haylage or chaff, whatever you choose, is the most natural way for the horse, as it replicates him eating grass out in the field. If your horse is a very messy eater, another way you can do it is have it in a hay net. Now, when you're tying up your hay net, you want a tying eye, but you want a little piece of baling twine or something attached to it, so that if your horse got caught in the hay net, that if you pulled on it really hard, then it would snap and it would fall down. Hay in a hay net is a very good way for some people, as some horses poo in their hay when it's on the ground, or they mix it up with all their shavings, and it's nice to keep it up and out of the way. But if you were to have hay in a hay net in your stable, try to have maybe 2 hay nets, one in one corner, one in the other, so they move to try to get to it, as it's more natural again for them. And then the last one is hard feed. Some horses get hard feed maybe 1 scoop a day or 2 scoops a day. Put it in a container, either hanging on their stable door or on the ground that's easily accessible for them. But that's really up to you. But forage is a must, but the concentrates in hard feed aren't very necessary, especially if your horse is overweight or not doing that much work. How to know if your hay is good quality is that it's green or brown in colour. If the hay is fully yellow, then it's generally gone off. If it's dusty or mouldy, bad hay, obviously. If it has a sweet smell, it's good hay. And if it's made from something called meadow grass or different types of grass, then again, it's really good quality hay. Also, what a lot of people do is, especially if your horse has asthma or if the hay you get is quite dusty, is soak your hay. So you want to fill up a wheelbarrow full of water and put your hay in it for about 1 to 2 hours. No more than that, or else all the nutrients will get soaked out. And then you can just give it to your horse. So guys, on to our last thing. So the last thing that a horse needs is water. So ideally you would have an automatic drinker, but not everybody has this, so you can just place a bucket either in a tire is best, as then it doesn't move. But the only thing is, I find that with buckets on the ground, shavings tend to get into it a lot. But also if you just use a bucket, then you have to check your water like 2-3 times a day to make sure that he has enough and it's not dirty or it doesn't go stagnant. So this is Arrow's drinker. It's an automatic one. This one I find is really cool, as they push their nose on this and the water comes out. Sometimes it takes a while for the horses to learn this though, or some horses just don't learn it at all. But I think it's a really good way, like a really good idea for an automatic drinker in a stable. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. If you have any questions, please comment, or you can DM me on my Instagram account. It's @Maro_16. But if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and comment down below for new ideas for videos or vlogs. And we'll see you next week.